I don't think it's that simple. I think that's an oversimplification. I think the fact of the matter is that women structure their lives differently to men. Men don't give birth. Men don't have to carry pregnancies. Men don't have to be the primary caregiver most of the time. Women also don't hold jobs for as long as men do. They often will stop and start. They'll go back into work. They'll take time off. They'll take part-time jobs. The way that men work and women work are astronomically different. And to try to say that they're comparable is where this issue comes from. They're not comparable.
Two things. First of all, let's dig into why they think that they should take these jobs, which is societal sexism. And then also...
Okay, stop again. Do you see it again? You see it again. So women who make the decision, you see the infantilization of women by people who claim to be standing up for women? Do you see it? She's essentially saying, oh, women are a bunch of babies and they're doing this because sexism, societal sexism, influence, oh, bunch of babies. Why could it not be that those women make the decision that they want to have a family? I mean, my mom did that. My mom worked at times. And she didn't have to work all the time. My dad was the breadwinner in the house, but she made decisions. So when I was small, she didn't work. And then as I got older, she decided she was going to dabble in this and that. Women make decisions like that. Could it not be because women are different from men and women have different priorities and women want to spend time at home and women want to be there when their kids are young, and more women are making those decisions than men? As a result, you have men who are more consistently in the workforce and more consistently, climbing that corporate ladder by choice. Why do you get to blame sexism and society when some of these decisions are being made by women in the modern age who have the freedom to choose the lives they want and are choosing to not have the same work structure as men? Why do you choose to be blind to that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because you have to be blind to that in order to sell the talking point that individual is trying to sell. And you're going to see that laced through this whole thing. Sexism is the reason for everything, apparently. What's next, doll? Internalized misogyny? That's another one they love to throw. Everyone's got everyone who calls out modern feminism for corrupting women has some type of internalized misogyny. Oh, God, nauseating. Can you imagine me on this panel? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You're like, do it, Jen. I wouldn't have done that panel. I'm going to tell you why. Because I come from network TV. And I come from a long cable news background, and I know exactly what happens when you go into a panel and there's editing involved. So I would have asked, is this going to be edited? And they would have said yes. And I would have said, oh, I'm good. I'm out. But if you want to do it live, I'll be there. And then they would have been like, oh, no, we can't do it live. Of course not. Because I'm sure there's stuff cut out there that they didn't like. It was an awkward moment, or maybe somebody's feelings got hurt. Or yawn. Okay. Let's go to 722. Oh, actually, no, we have to keep going on that one because we have the pay gap coming in. Let's keep going where we were.
Of Labor, all statistics, at least speaking in the U.S., have found that when compared for the same jobs, there still is a pay gap, particularly when it pertains to race.
Because 60% of women
she's talking about race. Is this a conversation about race? Is it? It's not a conversation about race, one. Secondly, that is false. What she is saying is false. And I'm using the she because that's what she, I guess, goes by. That is false. There is no pay gap. There's no, oh my God, let's all cry. Women are paid less. No, we broke this down on the show. Women are making different decisions. They're not working as many hours. They're not putting in as many time. And they're not involved in the same disciplines. How many women do you know go into a place that specializes in engineering and take a tally of how many men and women? There's going to be more men, right? Should we all say, oh, sexism, oh my God. Maybe more men want the job, doll. That's it. In the same way, there are guys that are willing to deprioritize that work-life balance and put in more hours. And yes, those guys make more money. Also, women and men shouldn't automatically make the same amount of money all the time. What if there's a guy that's working way harder? What if his output is better? What if he's producing better quality work? What if there are a number of factors that need to go into this that are beyond just, equity. Equity. It's my favorite word they throw out there. All right. It's beyond that. And by the way, there are discrimination laws in place that protect women already and protect individuals from actual lawlessness in the workplace. They exist already. So all this nonsense that they're spewing is nonsense. Let's go to 722.
also don't hold jobs for as long as men do. They often will stop and start. They'll go back into work. They'll take time off. They'll take part-time jobs. The way that men work and women work are astronomically different. And to try to say that they're comparable is where this issue comes from. They're not
comparable. So we played this one, but what I want you to also pay attention to, the reason I remember why I played this one twice now. When we play this, look at the facial expressions of the people around the circle. You're going to start to hear a defensiveness. You're going to see a lot of that. You will hear interrupting of like, oh, here we go. You'll see that emotional reaction from some of these women who don't have anything grounded in fact to negate what, someone like a Just Pearly is saying. I call her just Pearl, but I call her Just Pearly because I'm used to saying that for the channel. But when you don't have facts to support what you're saying, there's a lot of huffing and puffing. There's a lot of nastiness that comes into play, a little attitude you'll see. So just pay attention to that for your own amusement. I know I sometimes would get lost in space when they were going on and on about some talking point that wasn't true. And then I would look around and see their expressions and I'd get a little chuckle myself. So just a tip as you're watching. Okay, let's go to 836.
The table. When I'm thinking about feminism, I'm always thinking about who's not part of the conversation. What are the barriers? How do we think about equity? How do we think about self-empowerment and agency and having a voice, right? And having choice and thinking about our basic human rights, education, access to health, homes, like having bread, having food. And those things are very important, right? And they're at the crux, right? Of what a lot of us here know that we need.
Okay.
It's like,
so this became, now, can you find the debate about feminism in here? What is she talking about? Some liberal, big government talking points about now everything's a basic human right, home, healthcare, food, education, and somehow that's wrapped into a debate about feminism. If you believe that all of those things are rights, which by the way, they're not. Those are not rights. It doesn't say in the Constitution of the United States that everybody has a right to a home and healthcare and food and education, or it's somebody else's responsibility to provide those things for you. No, it does not. Those are not rights. This is liberalism gone wild. That somehow now what, doll? Are you saying that somebody else should pay for all those things for you? That doesn't sound very female empowered feminist girl power movement, first off. And secondly, why? Why is it somebody else's job to do that for you? And what does that have to do with the feminist movement? We're supposed to be having a conversation again about men and women. They can't have this conversation because they lose. So they bring up all the stuff, right? All the stuff. Now we're into basic human rights and how that relates to, again, she's going to bring in race 100 times, which yes, that's part of her personal experience. Fine. She's welcome to share that. But that is not the conversation at hand. So did you not come prepared for the conversation at hand? I'll ask again. Free healthcare, food. Can you imagine the list of things these people want? So, and is the message, by the way, that if a woman is not given a home, free healthcare, free food, education, and what else, that they're not able to be successful in life? Is that the message? How does that sound empowering or self-empowering to you? How do you reconcile that argument? In one breath, you're saying, oh, women can do it all, and women this and women that. In another breath, you're saying women need a bunch of handouts from who? Big Daddy government in order to be any kind of level of self-sufficient in society. How does that make sense? Make it make sense. That's what I would have said. If you want to watch the full episode, you're going to click right here. And if you want to ask me a question one-on-one, you want to do a one-on-one FaceTime with a group of your friends, whatever you want, you need to download Connect right now. Click right here and let's get talking.